One day as I was scrolling through my recommended feed, I saw a tuber video, and it was released over a year ago. The theme of the video was to see if primary and military sacrifices were superior to magic and support. Of course, magic and support came out on top. But I thought to myself, what if it wasn't just the sacrifices, and instead it was the entire category? And today that's what I'm going to try and achieve. I'm going to see if primary and military, aka Primitary, can get further in late game free play than magic and support, aka Magort. Mechan Rules has done something similar to this. He has an entire playlist dedicated to see which tower category can go as far as it can by itself. Right now the winner is military, with I believe a highest round of 323, but I hope that with the addition of primary as an entire category is going to let military stand up to the strength of Magort, because each side has a lot of pros and a lot of cons, and we're going to be talking about them. So let's start with why I chose primary and military instead of primary and magic. Well, true, the Sun Temple buffs would be stronger with primary, because primary is a stronger buff than support. Although, here's the thing. If I have primary and magic, I'm going to be able to farm with one tower, the Druid. And last I checked with our banana farms, they make pretty much zero cash. So I doubt saving up for a multi-million-dollar setup is going to be feasible with some druids. On the other side, military and support, it would be way too much farming advantage. They would be raking in millions and millions, while Magor would be struggling to survive. It just isn't feasible as a farming strategy. So that's my reasoning for not doing primary and magic. But what about military and magic? Well, if you haven't realized, military and magic are so much better than support and primary. Overall, their tier 4s are just better, they have more and stronger paragons, and they're just overall really good categories. Support and primary cannot stand up to the might of military and magic. That's why military and magic have too large of a DPS advantage, primary and magic has too little farming, so here we are, primary and military versus magic and support. Now it's time for, theoretically, who could get further in free play. Let's start with Primitary. The main thing with primary and military is that each of them have 3 paragons. They have double the amount of paragons that magic and support have. Now, granted, all of the primary paragons are not really geared for free play, like super late free play, but they are still paragons and they are still pretty decent damage dealers. However, the Navarch of the Seas and the Goliath Doomship are absolute units. They are the heavy hitters of the Paragons, easily the 2 strongest in DPS, in late game free play. Their abilities are unbelievable, and their late game potential is just unbelievably high. On top of that, the Navarch of the Seas can now buff the Goliath Doomship's attack speed, which is incredible. It only makes the Goliath Doomship even better. Now let's move on to the actual tier 4 towers that we're going to be spamming to see if they can do enough damage. This is going to be the 204 Sniper, to deal as much damage as possible to the fortified bads. Now, ordinarily, a 204 Sniper isn't going to do too much damage to a fortified bad around 250, but if you spam 100 of them and you give all of them debuffs, well, that's a lot of damage. Snipers are going to be the main DPS. That's the tier 4, mainly because there's no other tower that actually fits that in that such small space, and also does that much damage. I mean, you could make a case for the Spectre, but the Spectre has too large of a hitbox, and I feel that snipers would be more worth with it for the debuffs. The debuffs, man, they're too powerful. If it wasn't already obvious, we are going to be spamming supply drops all over this map. I want at least 200 of them, because if you get 200 and each ability gives you 1,200 cash, that's $240,000 with each ability. And with a change a few updates ago to the Sniper and Druid, if you click one ability, all of the abilities that are off cooldown are going to apply. So, that means you don't have to click your mouse 500 trillion times to get off the maximum amount of efficiency, because now you can just wait for all of them to be off cooldown, hit the ability, and boom, that's basically just another amount of money for another Dart Paragon in your pocket. It's incredible. You may notice that I'm skipping ahead a bunch of rounds at a time, mainly because I have 16 hours of footage to get through, and like I've said before and I'll say again, the first 100 rounds of free play are unbelievably boring. It's just the same stuff over and over, because really for my kinds of videos it's just getting up your farming before round 100 and then just praying to God that you have enough before the balloons kill you. Obviously we will get a full setup, because if I didn't then you wouldn't be watching this video. At round 89 we have a pretty good farming setup right now. I am getting up some pops for our boat paragon, although most of these is going to be irrelevant because I can just get a pirate lord later and speedrun the pops. The things that are going to be tough to get pops for are all of the primary paragons and the submarine paragon, because, let's be real, the boat and the ace, they get their paragons unbelievably fast. The ace paragon, just throw down flying fortresses, and you're going to get 16.2 million pops before you can say Hayut. I'm not sure what that word was, it's just been an inside joke between me and my friends for the past 5 years. Now we are on round 100. Did that jump scare you? It better have, because I am very loud when I want to be. But here we go, round 100 signifies the end of boring. Now we're going to get into the fun rounds, where our farming can really speed up. Because after round 100, cash generation really slows down from the balloons, going from I believe 10% to 5% between round 100 and round 101, and all the way down to 2% at round 121. However, now that I have enough snipers, it's going to be a piece of cake from here, because all I really need to do is get up a lot of money, get my paragons, get all the towers, and then just cruise to victory. That's basically the rest of this run. This part took 8 hours. And when I say 8 hours, I'm not even kidding. This is in times 40 speed, so the gameplay you're watching is actually 40 times faster than what I was experiencing. Basically, every 3 seconds for you was 2 minutes for me. And if I just left it at 40 times speed, guess how long the rest of this run would have taken? If you guessed 5 minutes or 6 minutes, you were way off, because it's actually both of those added together. That's right, if I left this at 40 times speed for the next 11 minutes, I would then finally die. 11 minutes at 40 times speed, that is a ludicrous amount of playtime for Bloons Tower Defense 6. I had better be over 1,000 play hours for this game, because if I don't, then I have no idea what the heck to do with myself. I can't have done all of this in less than 1,000 hours. I mean, come on, surely I'm not that pathetic. So to save both you and my computer, I'm just going to show the rounds that are important and highlight what I actually did. So, at round blah blah blah, I can just insert this later, or maybe I'll leave it in the video, who knows. I get down my first paragon. It is incredible. I can now last for so long, and as you can see, I have millions in the bank. This is because I've been doing nothing but spamming abilities for the past hour. It's incredible. To save YouTube from exploding while trying to check this video for copyright strikes, I'm going to slow it from 40x speed to 10x speed to at least make it bearable for the human eye to watch. Of course, I had to watch the entire thing in 40x speed before I decided to change it back to 10x speed. That was fun. No, it wasn't, but let's assume that it was fun. Perceptive viewers may have realized that I have absolutely zero tac shooter tier 5s on the map, because they're not getting pops at all. That's because I did not play the beginning of this game in update 46. No, I played it in update 45, but the tac shooter paragon wasn't released yet. So, I didn't actually have a plan to get down a 6th paragon, I was only going to get down 5. But now, I am going to get the 6th paragon, and consider this my official update 46 video because I actually showcased the new paragon. Incredible. Me making balloons content to keep up with the times? That's obscene! Now to actually make a commentary on the video. At round 250 I sell every single one of my snipers, mainly because I don't actually need to farm anymore, except there is like a few hidden around the map because the ability is still there. I have no idea where it is, so I use the ability to find it and I sell it. No sniper will survive. Now that I have over almost $16 million, that is more than enough to afford the rest of my defense. So, when I believe the time is right, I'm going to finish getting all of my paragons and then start the process of spamming an unholy amount of sniper monkeys. That process begins at the end of round 262, where as you can see I have all the T5 towers that I want for late game. I have all the bomb shooters, the middle and bottom path mortar monkeys because the top path sucks, all the dartling guns, all of the Helia T5s because surprisingly Comanche Commander is actually pretty useful at knocking back Moabs, except for Bads, because Bads can't be slowed or stunned, because to hell with this game. Now I'm going to spam down a bunch of Sniper Monkeys, and I think this took me like 30 minutes. Looking at the recording, I was actually wrong. It took me 28 and a half minutes, how incredibly garbage I am. And I decided to play 263 because, funny number, it is a set round, and it's the final set round before round 10,000. As you can see, I am now getting down a lot of Sniper Monkeys, and I do have a few main Moabs down there near the bottom center of the screen to stun ZOMGs and below, although that's what the Balloon Crush is for, so that's a little bit of wasted DPS, but whatever, it doesn't really matter. Now, at this point, the only Paragon I still have left to get is a Tac Shooter Paragon, because at this point I was waiting for Update 46 to come out, but I was also getting pops for my Tac Shooter Paragon, and now what you were looking at is the final setup. Of course, it's without the Tac Shooter Paragon, but we don't need to speak about that. I finally beat round 300, and now it is just a long grind to see how far we can go. Round 300 was basically guaranteed because the military by itself can get to 320, but now all I am doing is waiting to get enough pops for my Tac Shooter Paragon, because guess what? Update 46 is here, and as you can see, I get a pretty good Tac Shooter Paragon. This should add some DPS to my setup, and now what you're looking at is the final setup. Okay, now we can see how far we can go. Finally, it only took, 11 minutes and 46 seconds? I need to speed this video up. And finally, after another hour and a half of grinding Monkey versus Balloon game, round 332 finally defeats my setup. I used a bunch of abilities, like all of my strongest abilities were off cooldown for this round because there were just too many fortified bats and they were too far apart. Although, I will say that powers were allowed during this run. As you can see, they were like physically able to be used, but I didn't use any of them because I have a whole thing about how much I hate powers. Seriously, they're just every time I want to make a challenge, I have to make sure don't allow powers, otherwise I'll be tempted to use them. But I never did use them during this recording, so yippee! Round 332 is the maximum round for Primitary. All we have to do is see how far Magort can make it. As you can see, I did not use Adora, but instead of Zeely. To make this as fair as possible, I'm using a Zeely for both categories. Now, I am glad to be doing Magort because they have banana farms and villages, meaning that my farming can skyrocket. This is going to be a lot chiller than last game where I had to spam supply drops, and by chill farming, I mean that I get $1 million set up to make as much money as physically possible before round 80. All of these farms are overclocked, by the way. And after farming for a few more hours, yes, hours, plural, I decide to sell all my farms and villages and overclocks at around 140 so I can finally start getting the towers that'll get pops for my paragons. The temples I'm going to get later because I don't want to accidentally sell or sacrifice any of the towers that I'm actually getting pops for paragons, because that would be very unfortunate. And I am not doing this again. Now, I will say that I had my money on Magort from the beginning, mainly because it may have less paragons, but temples are incredibly strong. Now, I could have gone for a full Bloonjitsu strategy, because I don't actually need debuffs to make it super useful, but debuffs do actually add quite a lot of help. In his newest video, Rexer actually showed that past a certain round, temples and Adora are actually less efficient than Zeely and ninjas. Ninjas do a lot of damage when fully ultra boosted, god buffed, with shinobis, permabird, because they're a fast attacking tower that can easily synergize with attack speed buffs and damage buffs, making them incredibly powerful. But I just decided to go for Sun Temples, mainly because I like the color yellow more than I do the color of whatever the damn hell those hats are. By round 172, I have only the Ninja Paragon left to get. Now, I deliberately made this guy come last because it will be the easiest to get pops for, since the Grand Sabo ability can do a lot of damage to all the balloons coming in. I think it's 25% of the outer layer, meaning that if you use this ability a lot, it's very, very good against Fortified Bads, and Fortified UMGs especially. Now, I got the Engineer, I believe, second, and I wanted to get it early so that it could maximize its damage, because it can overclock itself over a period of time, slowly getting a little stronger every round until I believe it gets 6 times stronger. Although, as you can see here, I am getting down the sacrifices for my Ninja Paragon so that I can get a max degree 91. Now the only thing left to do is the temples. Oh boy, these took a while. I'm beginning to notice that at this point, my challenge is just becoming more and more convoluted and ridiculous. Like, it takes me more and more time to actually do the challenges, and shockingly, I spent like 8 hours each on each of these runs, because it's just so laggy. Like, I usually do runs that maybe take me to 250 maximum, like the good old days of as far as possible. Remember that series? I'd really like to continue it, it was actually pretty cool. But here's the thing, if I want to get to round 332 with Magort, I'm going to have to endure the unbelievable lag that comes with these temples. I'm not sure why I got them so early, but I'm pretty sure it's to do with the fact that Ultra Boost can no longer be spammed, so I'm going to have to actually wait every single round to get as many Ultra Boosts as I can. These temples need Ultra Boost to actually maximize their full effect, because at 10 stack of Ultra Boost is equivalent to 1 permanent overclock, and you can add overclocks to the Ultra Boost for a lot of attack speed. And here I'm getting down all the T5s, all the useful towers, and my final plan is just to Ultra Boost everything on the screen, except Shinobis. I kind of don't need to Ultra Boost those. One unfortunate thing is that I can't use any Chinooks who actually move around the permaboost, so I had to place it in a spot where I thought it would be smart, so I decided to make it buff the Grandmaster Ninja, a few towers in the center, most importantly the TSG, because the TSG is going to be one of the highest damage dealing towers in this run, because magic and support is actually a really strong sacrifice. Now all I have to do is Ultra Boost on my temples, get down some more towers, and see how far this setup can go. And just like that, round 333 has been achieved with just support and magic. Mostly because I forgot to record 332. Look, I know, it was a mistake, but before I realized I had to be recording it, I had already beaten the round, so here you are, 333 with magic and support. Magic and support is officially better than primary and military. And let me just say, it was not even close. Primary and military were absolutely getting flopped by the fortify bads on 333. My setup is absolutely chilling. I've used in the past 200 rounds exactly 3 abilities. You wanna know what they were? The first one was the Call to Arms because the bats were getting pretty far. The second one was the Homeland Defense, and I only used that when the bats were really far. And the final ability that I used was accidentally the Carpet of Spikes ability when I was trying to use the Ultra Boost to boost one of the temples. Oh wait, that was the 4th ability that I used. Never mind, I used the Ultra Boost as well. But I did actually end up using Carpet of Spikes ability like once on accident. It was completely unnecessary and it didn't help at all. This challenge took over 2 weeks to do. This is ridiculous. I have wanted to do this for a while, ever since I saw Macen Rules' How Far Can You Go with Primary video, his first one ever, and I thought, oh, it'd be cool to do that with 2 tower categories. But I can just say, Magort was not even close, I didn't even use any of the overclocks, and I haven't used Azili's ability once. All these temples can still be overclocked, and I still haven't used Azili's ability, so this setup can probably get to like around 400. But that is it from me. And as always, thank you for watching.